There's a solar eclipse upcoming on April 8th, 2024. Of course, you probably already know this. So it's a powerful 8-day in an 8 year, 2024. And of course, there are much deeper insights to glean from this cosmic event. And in this video, we will discuss the important things that we need to be aware of, the deeper spiritual wisdom we must know as to what I've received from my divine team, and something that I'll be creating in or around that day, and more to come on that. So stick around at the end of the video where I'm going to talk about that some more. For those of us that are serving the primordial light and divine organic origin of all that is, this is our time to bring high love magic to its critical mass whilst protecting our energies. So I'm doing my video out on our really darling patio because it's a gorgeous day. It's basically summer. And oddly enough, we have potential snow this Thursday. So I'm using this weather for what I can before we go into crazy town land. So I'm going, I don't even, that it's like in the 70s. So anyway, I'm going to open this up with the statement that I know many of you here already know, but I think that it's really powerful for us to serve as great reminders and to keep these reminders top of mind at all times so we don't get sloppy, so to speak. Because there are many who read things and they take every word as the actual meaning, which, in many ancient ways of speaking, it was actually spoken through hidden codes or ways in which to bring through truth. It's kind of like dreams. How do you talk about a dream where you get this powerful message? Because you don't take the message for what is, you have to look into it in a much deeper context to figure out what it means. This is similar to how primordial wisdom was shared. And so what we have to think about is the manipulated texts that were purposefully changed to bend to the will of the negative ones who created this so-called, what we've called a patriarchal system. I say this a lot in my work, that the truth is that it's a system that it was meant to enslave, capture living light energy, and some of you have heard the word loosh, of course, and desire to eradicate all aspects of Sophia and the cosmic mother, which thereby has meant this faction's true desire is really also about the eradication of the female gender in form, physical form. So most of all religious texts that are available to the mainstream, even the likes of the Nag Hammadi library, or we could even say the lost texts, like the Book of Enoch, for example, these types of texts have been heavily manipulated or misconstrued as well, because that was either changed before they were even found or after they're found. Because at the time of most of these writings, regardless of whether we'd like to admit it or not, the hijacking of this realm had already been well underway. And let's face it, where are the female mystics? They were wiped out. That's convenient, isn't it? So female mystic imprints on all that has happened in the realms has been hidden and stripped away. And so we have to really take that into context. So it's been wiped out from our story versus his story or her story. What I like to call is our story, for that is what we really are reclaiming and creating once again. So for example, the Nag Hammadi texts were translated hundreds, if not thousands, I don't even know how many times. If somebody knows, comment below, by these academic scholars. And if you do some research, it's very simple. You open one of the books, one of the translated versions, go on a little research hunt, right? You'll find most of them don't even really get spirituality, like true, divine, connected spirituality, not religion, spirituality. These are two different things. And so how could these beings translate something they can't even really understand? Meaning they can't stand from within themselves and actually get it. So these same scholars, for the most part, I can't say all of them because that would be completely moronic, but let's just say a lot have taught or even continue to teach dogmatic untruths and are part of the collegiate systems that have kept humanity completely weak. These are the systems that continue over and over and over to take humanity's power away. We must realize these things. But also, we can know this. So there is within these ancient texts, there are hidden codes and hidden energy signatures. So what I call it is it's the energy of the writing behind it, the communication behind it, its intention. So if you can tap into that, that is really what I'm getting at here. And that's where a lot of these hidden codes can be lifted from. And of course, you have the highest divine love light beings of which you're connected to, helping and assisting in that way. But you can see the thread of truths. And these items can be picked out and lifted from the other aspects that actually are nonsense. So it is a lot of work, and it does take a ton of discernment, but we have to remove the essences of the true wisdom from the fictionalized bullshit that's continuously used to promote the vile ones and their many, many thousands of years of propaganda. And by the way, this video is probably going to be longer than my normal videos. It's taken me about a week and a half to even put all of this information I've been getting through into one place. So just be forewarned that it's a little longer. I don't know. But so why is this? Let's think about this. Why would these texts be manipulated, or why were these things manipulated? Well, when you take a look at these things that are available to mainstream, we can see it's easier to manipulate, control, and cause the primordial fear to always be rising within people when you create spiritual oppression. And that oppression impacts not just humans. This oppression also impacts the animals, it impacts the plants, it really impacts all of living creation that surrounds us, because this always impacts the living light planetary being that we call Earth, or of course we call Gaia or Pachamama, etc. But much of the vile ones, and this is again, when I say vile ones, I'm trying to portray here the otherworldly ones that hijacked this living light library. And I consistently refer to them in my videos if you haven't watched any videos up until this one. And so their agenda includes blocking the powerful true dragon energies and consciousness that is rising. And they are consistently battling and trying to subdue the energies of other interior, what we call middle planetary energies from rising. And at this time, currently, these factions are trying more heavily than ever to subdue these energies. And they're doing this through subduing energies that are rising from the planetary constructs. You could say it's the meridians and the stargates, what some people call chakras of this realm, of this planetary being. And so it's the dragon lines. Some people call this ley lines. They're dragon lines. And they're trying to stop the powers from rising within dragon nodes. Now, I've been told by my divine team of energies and consciousness that includes the Merlin, or I also know them as the Merlion lineage, and the true Michael lineage, that these are actually known as sacred towers. Dragon nodes are sacred towers. And so this hijacking faction is trying to squash this more and more, trying to prevent the guardian founder races from accessing the planetary realm and taking basically their seats back where they once were. Much has already been accomplished, of course, but there is much more that needs to be done. And I do want to put out there that the vile ones can try all they want, of course, yet they can't stop all of this high divine love magic from rising. I mean, this is awakening magic. This is exactly how I see it and exactly how I feel all of this. However, we must be fully aware, especially around this upcoming eclipse, what this faction is doing, what they will try, and what further lies and manipulations they're still trying to shove down humanity's throats. It's important, as I noted earlier, to remember that these religious mainstream texts have been distorted as a foundational layer, because when we know that, we can weave back the understanding as to how to see into hidden truths within them and connecting dots that actually don't even exist within them, and utilize memories that we hold in our own Akashic records, that is our DNA. Because what I know is our memories serve as better truths when we are receiving this wisdom from our higher soul streams. And then we can mix the memories with the common threads we can glean through ancient wisdom, the texts of these things and scrolls and whatever it might be that have been written down and shared. Because not all things written are incorrect. That would be absolutely ignorant to think. And thankfully, the sharing of truths has only been accelerated by the digital landscape, much to, I think, the vile ones is against their hope and desire of what it was really going to do. But it did connect us in ways that we need to feel into as well. And this does, of course, come with the caveat that we just have to use our discernment. And truth is something that we feel within our bodies, within our soul beings. And humans have always been meant to feel truth. And that is when our soul knows. And that's the essence that we can trust. We use our soul constructs as the true cosmic detectives. Now, the insidious factions and their man-made violent religions and the New Age hijackers, they've constantly pushed humans into this ongoing game. This has been a huge strategic initiative designed with the intent to generate what I have heard from the Merlin lineage and the true Michael sacred energies and these consciousness beings. They've told me that the most powerful weapon within the game is called primordial fear. And now I was told this on the auspicious day of October 27th, 2023, when I absorbed a dragon egg from Tiamat within my subtle bodies. And I received messages from the true Merlin Michael lineage, or we could also say the Merlion and Michael lineage, and also the Cosmic Mother of Dragons, which is Tiamat. And this was at Avebury Henge and the correlating and connected dragon node, which was named Silbury Hill. And I'll go into that in some other time. I'm doing a lot of work around this essence of dragon and Tiamat, and so there's a lot of things that will be coming out about that, but it takes time to integrate. I'll just leave it at that. So these primordial fear tactics are constantly being used. And look, if you're here listening to this, you know this, right? But it's, again, very important that we talk about this. And again, this primordial fear aspect is basically spiritual warfare, driving fake Armageddon scenarios into the minds of humanity with hopes that basically what they want is they want humanity to manifest their desires of a fake apocalyptical visions. And you see this constantly represented in their low magic via movies. But you also hear disconnected so-called truthers passing this total nonsense off as well. Because, look, there's not an intuitive chord there that directly connects into God's source and the true Holy Trinity sources of consciousness and all of these sacred energies. So the hijackers of our realm know that, and so they continue to use the primordial fear as a tactic in their game to get you to manifest their hoarded desires for them. Do you see how this works? They get those that they've enslaved to do their work. I mean, it's fascinating when you really think about it. It's actually, it's obviously deplorable. I don't even need to say that, right? But so if you look at his story, we see this story play out over and over and over. So they get those enslaved to do their work, continuing the negative cycle and blah, 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 broken record over and over and over. And we are throwing this damn record away once and for all. We are ending this nonsense once and for all. But fellow soul tribes, it will take time. And that's the other side to this as well. And hence why those of us who came here with sacred missions during this shift are known as the pioneers of the new earth. And I say new earth because there's really not a better term available that everyone knows as a foundational essence. But what I would really like to say is a better term is return of the primordial earth that once was. It's a little longer, but I think it's a little more representative of the truth. So the return of the primordial earth that once was. So my message for this time right now is about psychic protection. Having awareness of this and the importance of psychic protection and cleansing of our energies is imperative. We'll go over this further towards the end of the video, so stick around. And I know many spiritual people do not like to admit this, but this planetary being is in a battle for its living creations. The living creations are you and me and everyone else, humanity, the birds, the bees, the animals, the plants, etc. And the actual living creation, Earth, Terra, Gaia. And many spiritual beings throughout what we have called time have said, life is suffering. You can hear this a lot in Buddhist texts and such, and ancient texts in general. There's usually this essence of life is suffering, just get over it. But this statement is not supposed to be true. And it is true, though. And has been for some time because of the hijacking. And believe me, all of this that I'm talking about is connected into the eclipse, so we're getting there. Bear with me. So life right now, as you can tell in this dimension, is unnecessary suffering. Way too much of it. It's just open your eyes any day and it's there for you to see. But there's also future aspects, what we call future aspects of this planetary being that many of us remember that and know and feel that also were hijacked and completely destroyed. And so we are talking about an ancient, if not primordial battle, right? And this isn't in what we call really the physical, although it is, of course, but this is about energy. This is an energetic spiritual warfare as well. And this is why, by the way, Druids were wiped out, because we were the enlightened spiritual warriors that were sharing this truth and helping souls to break free from the faction that comes in and tries to take over these kinds of worlds that are blossoming and blooming. And of course, humanity being a very special one, unique. But again, we prepped for this time. And we're here right now. And so that's just where we are in all of this. So I'm sharing this all for all to hear now, over and over, because I think that it's essential for it to really sink in, and waves of and ripples of this truth can be carried outward. I know there are naysayers, and that's fine. I'm really just speaking to those with the ears to hear and the eyes to see. Many of us who know of the higher octave way, we remember, we feel it, we've been there, we've been up and back, however you want to describe that. We're finding ourselves longing to be released from this trifurcation. And of course, some call this a bifurcation. I'm really seeing this as a trifurcation, but it doesn't matter. We're finding ourselves longing to be released from this because we want to just leave this chaotic mess, madness, and these strong feelings of like, I just want to go home, But then there's this other feeling of like, I can't leave these people. I can't leave these animals, And we know that there's a home where there's places where it's free from these factions, right? In as much as we can know that they've been untouched, so to speak, but we know that the negative hijacking faction built a total death system of enslavement. And we know that is not truth. And that is not what is meant to be. We know that there are mistakes, even in the God or creator realms and worlds, if you will. And this extreme out of control situation that we see is part of that rip in the fabric of organic and original creation. But I can't say that without feeling all of that. So honestly, fear not, soul friends. For all of us serving in a guardian capacity through that consciousness, and of course all the indigos and starseeds from the realms, or maybe all of the above, we're here for this very reason, to spread wisdom that can help and assist. Because we hold the frequencies, knowing that we can rise. And we can all rise in the knowing that we are here to help take action to build the world anew. In this renewal essence, we can frame ourselves and wrap ourselves around this hope, having a deep inner knowing of what is the truth. Not just a truth of somebody, but the truth. We already know what higher octave experiences are, for we were there, are there, experiencing, have experienced memories, and ending the spiritual battle for consciousness once and for all of living creation is why we're here, in whatever capacity that looks like for each of us. So the message for this time that I have, I think there's obviously lots of people putting out lots of things, but I just need to share what keeps coming through loud and strong for me. The message right now is that we must protect our energies. So I was shown that my message for all to know around the eclipse, and moving forward, by the way, but this eclipse is a powerful moment in which to begin the workings if you haven't already. It's a time to protect. And this is about what I'm calling spiritual Krav Maga, okay? You take practices from all kinds of different peoples, you mesh them together, and you're proactive, you're becoming strong. Empowered. Spiritual Krav Maga, that's what I'm calling it. So to do so, I can offer options and ways to do this, in which I'll get to that. But the honest answer is your own beingness must integrate protection information without feeling overwhelmed. Do what makes you feel comfortable. But you also have to stretch beyond programming. Let's just be honest. The programming you've received from stupid movies that tell you a pentagram is evil is incorrect, okay? These are deprogramming mechanisms that we have to get through in order to do the spiritual protection Krav Maga. So learn to feel what's best for you. The more knowledgeable that you are, that we all are, the more knowledge that we have, the more Sophia that we allow in to our beingness, which is wisdom. We take back the power and deprogram from the many lies and manipulations that fill this realm. So I personally call these psychic greetings versus psychic attacks, because in the decades-old Law of One channelings from the LL Research Group, which many of you, I'm sure, are more than aware of, this was emphasized as a way to see these happenings as greetings versus attacks. And that really resonated with my being on like every level. It's a greeting. Because this negative and vile, low frequency entity, whatever you want to call it, energy, comes to greet you, and it really digs into your weak spots in your psyche, in the subconscious, right? So we see the greeting, we move it out of our way, and then we do what we need to do to protect ourselves from that. And we can do that all without hate, which is another layer of wisdom to foster. And I should tell you that it took me some time to be able to see it in that way and do it in that way, because like all spiritual things, we must practice. It has done me very well to see things in this different light. I actually go over that in my video I created called Our Journey of the Trifurcation and the Rites of Passage Through Spiritual Awakening, which you can watch. And that is a powerful video to tap into, where I speak more on that and what that can really do for your power. Let's talk solar eclipses. Okay, the solar eclipse is going to basically make an X marks a spot area upon the United States when we correlate the pathway from the 2017 solar eclipse and this 2024 path. And also there's even the 2023 eclipse, which is the one that was really powerful wisdom that was coming through to me. So this upcoming April 8th event has both symbolic and spiritual significance. And while, again, some view it through the lens of prophecy to take, which I'll talk about a little bit, but the true essence really lies in representing the unveiling of wisdom, which is going to happen, and then the chance for just this powerful individual and collective change. And the eclipse acts as a prompt to take bold action, to begin to build anew. This is quickening the massive changes going on within our planetary being and within us. All of living creation is changing with Earth, Terra, Gaia. So this asks us to further nurture our deepest and most sacred awareness for those choosing the higher consciousness path to move into the next and higher positive service to others octave, is the way that I would describe that. So this next visible solar eclipse to us over the US after this April 8th is going to be in August of 2044. Wow. I'll be 65 for that one. That's intriguing. So this April total solar eclipse of 2024, it truly impacts all things, everything. And the vile ones have their plans, of which I'll talk about a little bit, and it's absolutely a significant turning point. And it will be a forced and unexpected opportunity for many to begin to take serious action. So I feel this is a call to the indigo, starseeds, the cosmic wanderers to ensure that you're igniting your magic. I think that's an underlying essence to this all, for sure. And this is about the amplification of harmony of the sacred energies, but there's more than that as well. I do have some interesting details that have led me into these eclipses that have been really powerful for me and powerful for a lot of people, but I am of course talking about my experience. So if you haven't watched my video called Unveiling Merlin, who or what is Merlin and the spiritual connection to our evolution, please do so. It has huge aspects connected into this upcoming solar eclipse event and what's going on within the energetic realms of this planetary being. And I released that video November 8th of 2023. That was after I got back from the Albion. There's also another important video I'd love to call out for you to watch as well if you have not already, that I created and released on January 3rd, 2024, called Unlocking the Power Within, Belief and Manifestation Magic Revealed. Please go watch that one if you haven't yet, as it's absolutely connected to the upcoming eclipse and what this negative hijacking faction wants you to manifest on their behalf through primordial fear. So that goes through a lot of it. And the gist of it is that they want to create a bigger war in a physical way in the US to add to all the other BS and nonsense and propaganda that they're putting out about all kinds of other things. So that video would be really great to watch if you haven't watched it yet. In terms of solar eclipses, I was called to be in the path of totality in August 21st, 2017. So my husband and I were there in the path of totality for that one, for that total solar eclipse in 2017. We went into South Carolina in the US to be able to see that. Now, I actually wrote about this experience the day after we returned. And there are some insights I'd like to share, and you can read the full article. There's a link below, and it's kind of funny for me to think about that time because I actually had to write that article on my Team Goo website because I hadn't even really began my Awakening Magic essence through the Disrupt Now programs and podcast. I hadn't really begun that adventure in its full capacity yet. I was just barely getting it going, and it was like, wow, that was that long ago, which seems crazy. At that time, I had just put up the Disrupt Now website. And so, it's just amazing the evolution and the quickening that has happened, the rapid evolution. So here are some insights that I shared from that 2017 total solar eclipse in the path of totality. So I said, first things first, being in the path of totality is not like anything you've ever seen. But it's not about what you see, it's more about what you feel. Your soul being becomes one with the universe. And seriously, being in the 100% total solar eclipse viewing range is honestly something you can't put into our language, and using these primitive words, it is almost beyond a human's capability of description because it is something you feel rather than you speak. The feeling that swept over our group is something that you can only feel as well. Tears just streamed down my husband Mark's face and my face as well as we stood in awe. We embraced and just thought, wow, awesome. And I use the word awesome in the truest sense of what that word means, using it the way it's supposed to be used, being in awe. Seeing other planets and stars come out midday, the crickets and streetlights coming out and turning on, birds disappearing as their chirping ends immediately. You then feel the massiveness of this universe and its deep, otherworldly, riveting feeling of primordial power that sweeps over your entire beingness. It is divine. It is beckoning of your soul's awareness to something so much more grand than anything you can fathom. We cried and just stood in awe. I felt at one with all things. An indescribable peace inside swept over me, chills throughout my entire body, being connected and understanding with 100% certainty that this is why we can stand in awe of living creation. It felt like being open and free to tap into the paradigm of consciousness and the huge shift we are in that commenced on December 21st, 2012, and now only quickens. So that's just a portion of what I had written in my article. So if you get an opportunity, you can go check that out. There's a lot more, of course, that I share in that, but this gives you some insight about what I felt. It was a huge shift on that time on many levels. And that was right after a huge timeline shift of 2016, moving into that eclipse in 2017. And then things have only quickened beyond our wildest dreams up to this time in 2024. Now, there are some other powerful eclipse events that I must speak to as well, as this was all, to me, this is all deeply and vastly connected, and they're not separate events, of course, they're not. So in a previous short video before I left for Albion, and the area of the Albion, which is quite large, right, which is UK, the Wales area, the Ireland, Scotland, etc. I actually went into the UK region, into sacred sites. And in this video called Magical and Mystical Connections for this Ring of Fire Cosmic Event 10/14/2023. In that video, you can watch that, and it tells you about basically this gateway that was opened at that time to allow massive dragon and other energies to rise. And so that October 14th, 2023, and then there was a partial lunar eclipse on the October 28th, 2023. So what that was these were like two goalposts. The veils of time were parted, revealing the secrets of the cosmos and the enchantments woven by this particular Ring of Fire eclipse that commenced on October 14th, 2023. That's when I was beckoned to go stand in Avebury Henge and Silbury Hill between those goalposts on October 27th, 2023. And the unfurling of mysteries beyond reckoning called me into the opening of the heart of the world. In that video, I talk about the Ring of Fire on October 15th, which marked a very powerful choice point time. And so it's energetic goalposts that took place October 14th, October 28th. And my soul stream asked me to be in Albion during this time because it was really, really imperative to soak in the frequencies that's coming through Albion, specifically the influential sacred sites on the Michael Mary Dragon line being Avebury Henge and the connecting dragon node Silbury Hill. So watch more in that video, and I actually talk about the map that came through crop circles to actually begin this mapping system that took place to get me to go. So if those dates were the goalposts, as I call them, then this total solar eclipse that's upcoming on April 8th is the through point. So the way that I feel this is that it's the eye of the needle, and this is the time that we all are squeezing through that. And so it's a huge energetic shift. And I'm sure many of you have heard that term, the eye of the needle, anyway. And so now I think we can see that and feel that in kind of a new light. So I feel that we will find this aspect of squeezing just kind of to be reflected around us a bit. Do you feel that this year so far has kind of been squeezing things for positive or for the negative for you? And when I say negative, there's aspects that must be maybe alchemized into transformational awareness for great change. Difficult, I guess, might be a better word. Or maybe perhaps these energies are shifting you and asking you to make bold moves. Maybe it's screaming at you to start your sacred mission or change your sacred mission by going deeper. There will be a lot of these feelings of squeezing, I feel, as we get taken more and more through this energetic shift. Because here's the truth, Earth, Terra, Gaia is shifting and being squeezed in the exact same way. The energies from the inner realms are shifting and opening and awakening. The Albion, light body as I saw it when I stood there on October 27th, 2023, rises. Tiamat is reclaiming her place as the cosmic mother of dragons, and this is all being done through the activation of the 4 royal stars, as well as the star system that has been called Hydra, but I've learned that Hydra is actually Crom, and I learned this from Connor at the Celtic Druid Temple in Ireland. So these galactic shifts are connected to Regulus, which is the dominant star in the Leo constellation. Now we feel into the consciousness of the frequencies of guardians, for we have Leo, we have the Great Lion race, the Great White Lions. So these are, of course, just one aspect of the guardian races that are taking their place, coming into this planetary being structure, if you will. So what is happening cosmically is obviously all connected to everything else. And since that 2017 total solar eclipse, there's been tons and tons and tons of emissions from the sun that has been interacting with the Earth's atmosphere, where ionization caused by the incoming solar radiation affects the transmission of radio waves, and we actually call this the ionosphere. And so what this is doing is it's changing the magnetic fields. Now, I've received connecting insights from my divine team that this is known as the Great Purifier, which I really will go in depth on sometime soon. That's also a lot of energy to put in too, but it's a lot. But it has been rapidly changing the magnetic field, and this is why there has been so much shifting. Now, also, have you looked up in the skies lately? So I am what I would call a cloud observer, sky observer, and this has been happening for some time. The Sirius system is sending in massive communications, and this is all about connecting back into original suns, or we can say the twin or sister suns. And this is why you've seen a very intense sun. The halo, have you seen this going on in our sky? And we can see this reflected in the spaceship, or whatever you want to call the moon, the inorganic thing that's just reflecting the sun. The ring around the moon is insane as well. And so this is why you're going to see clouds being created to try to not allow you to see the halos. So what we could say is all of this going on in the sky is solar initiation, because obviously the sun and the planetary being works in conjunction, right? So what this is doing is increasing and quickening our total galactic evolution, thereby heavily affecting humans and all living beings here. Don't forget about the animals. These loves need our help too. We cannot forget about them, for we are all here to assist each other. Animals help us, and we help them. Plants help us, we help them. This is the divine order of the law of one taking its place once again in our realm, and these are just a couple of examples. So what we should know is that eclipses shift the very fabric and structure of the cosmic order. And in order to do so, what it does is it's basically pushing consciousness evolution onto higher pathways, because we are now on that timeline. And this has always been the case in some way. However, the eclipses are also, since hijackers came into the realm, they also can be used for low magic as well. So these events can be used for low magic. So we cannot disregard that. We just can't. The shifting of the fabric of the universe is why there is a crumbling of the old status quo and the patriarchal systems. So here's a really great way to think about it. Think of it like igniting clogged lymphatic and liver systems of the earth. If Earth, Terra, Gaia goes through these massive purifications, so does humanity and all the other living things. There is no change in one without changing the other. Now, let's really think about that for a moment. And think about what's been happening since 2020. Do you see a far bigger picture of what has been taking place? Purification, energetic cleansing, lymphatic and liver cleansing. I'm not going to spell that out anymore around health, but maybe some of you will catch my meaning. I will dive into this some other time, most assuredly on some other channel, as I can't do that here, but I do feel it's very imperative to see the higher pathway and picture, because I really think it changes everything in the way that we've been seeing what has been taking place. This event on the upcoming date of April 8th, 2024 is an energetic squeezing through the eye of the needle. And the intention is to assist those that choose it to come out on the other side as totally different humans. And what I see is this army of light just becoming fully freaking activated. This, my soul friends, is the phase of, as I see it, the trifurcation actions. And so you may find even more activated, and you will feel more than likely more of a disconnection from the people and the things that just no longer align with you, no longer resonate with you, and don't connect into the forward direction or the up direction, however you want to put it, that you are moving into this organic time shift. Organic versus synthetic. The mother arc, ARC, is here, rising in such powerful ways that many cultures have described these events. Some would say the word biblical, but that isn't true because this is way beyond that. This is far more primordial, far bigger. So I'd like to call out some intriguing things. And a word that came in was thunder beings. Now, this has been some research and just things that have come into my awareness for quite a while now. And I found this image in some news that was shared that in March of this year, 2024, there was over 16,000 lightning bolts that spanned over 1,200 miles. And so it's kind of mimicking this line where this solar eclipse is going to go. And then there's that X marks the spot areas that all align with the eclipses that I was talking about earlier. And the image of the news and these thunder beings is here. And so what I'm feeling is these thunder beings, this powerful energy is rising. These lightning bolts are more than lightning, obviously, as we know. So these are interesting images. I found this image years ago. I don't even know when, but I just have it because I love it. And it's a reminder that what we call dragon really has to be reframed. This is what I would call as a thunder being. And a thunder being is what I feel is dragon. I mean, this image just, I don't know, it just portrays, I guess, what I'm trying to really say here around how this really all is connected into dragon energy. And then there's this in the Eightfold Wheel of the Year workshop series that I'm doing. We just did the Ostara and the spring equinox, and I talked about the rising of dragon energy in spring, which happens every spring. It's how so much magic gets pushed up from the land realm. And this insight from native tribes and their wisdom. So the thunderbird, one of the physical forms of the thunder beings, is said to be an enormous bird-like creature with legendary strength and power. But I'm truly feeling into this that it's another word is dragon. So the dragon energies that are waking up and taking their rightful places are essentially upgrading the blueprint of the original grail codes of this planetary being. But this is also about what happens in our bodies as well. So what I felt in the sacred towers is that as Tiamat takes her place as the mother of dragons again, the cosmic mother of dragons, I should say, there's a simultaneous reunification of our sun with its twin or sisters. I don't really know the right word for that, but connection is what I see. I feel like this is where there's been much memories around the timeline of Terra that has taken place within me, and perhaps you have been receiving those as well. So there's so much going on. And those of us sensitive to the energies, to all of this, these are the things we must know and feel, right? Now then, on the opposite end of the spectrum, there are those who just are not connected and they're pulling a lot of nonsense like this. As you can see, this person doesn't even know what the word apocalypse means. They're saying it like it's a negative or a bad word. They don't know that the word means unveiling. They're saying that 666 is somehow evil, which is freaking nonsense. This is the stuff that I'm talking about. Fear propaganda. What they're doing is they're manifesting for that negative faction that wants to move through primordial fear. So we need to see through and into the light of real truth. Now's the time where I'd like to share some things that perhaps can assist around this theme of protection, which is my message moving into this and beyond this eclipse coming up. And it's just been loud and clear to me to share this, as this comes from my beingness to yours. So take what you want, leave the rest, as that saying goes. So this past weekend, I went to a sound healing event, and at the end, we picked an oracle card from a Work Your Light deck and I asked once again, just to ensure that I had this essence of protection correct, as to what I needed to share. And I said, is there anything else that I should share around the solar eclipse? And the card I got was this. So the answer was, yeah, no, you got it. Dear soul, just please know that you are protected, your loved ones are protected, and now share protection magic with others. They can begin this work in bigger ways, more powerful ways than ever before. But if you're already doing so, awesome, share it with others. So I'm sharing this, and this would be a powerful time to do a callback of your power. And if you've never done anything like cutting cords or cutting contracts that aren't for your higher good, or if you haven't done soul retrieval ceremonies, this is a really powerful time to do that. Basically, we're all being called to protect our energies, call back our power. This is a good time to take a look at who around you drains your energy. How can you keep your energy clear? This is one reason why I do vibration medicine with people, because it's about our physical bodies too. Do not forget this. We have to move through our bodies, and we must do it often. And here's a version of this kind of working that you could use right now. So feel free to take a screenshot anytime. And I've created this for me, so feel free to use it if you like. So this is a really great statement. So I'll just leave that up there for a moment, and you can just take a picture if you want. But this is a powerful working in which you can take this and you can share it, you can use it, you can change it. But this is a really powerful way to begin to call back lost fragments, call back pieces of your soul to yourself. Start bringing back the power that you've given away. Start commanding the universe that you are co-creating, that is you. Begin to strengthen your will, relinquish and let go of any vows or contracts or any low frequency programs that are not yours. And so this is just one thing that you could potentially use. Now, some other things that I'd like to share around this topic. So protect yourself from persons who share nonsense, like I shared with you earlier. The 666 and all these kinds of stupid things, okay? Because this is propaganda as well. If you stop listening to anyone that is disconnected from the highest and divine sources that push primordial fear propaganda, it's just going to help your soul in general, right? Be careful. Don't say low frequency magic words like this. I'm not going to say it. It's part of their manifestation tools to get you to say it and fear it. Don't give into the new age nonsense that is in essence either spiritual narcissism or spiritual bypassing. Sometimes they're one and the same. Change your approach to doing spiritual Krav Maga, as I call it, to know it's about protecting your energies, to be empowered versus disempowered, right? Find a source of protection magic that resonates with your soul essence and practice that often. Now, I do a sword banishing that you won't find anywhere in the Golden Dawn, like that book, for example. Unfortunately, what I felt is that book was full of magic workings. It just leaves out a whole lot. It doesn't tell you all the truths, and so it didn't resonate with me fully. But feel into that for yourself. Some time ago, after a massive psychic reading that I had, and I experienced, I was launching a very important class called Tap Into Your Magic, which you can find at tapintoyourmagic, of course with a K as I spell it, .com. And so what I did after that major psychic reading, which was a big one, I had never really experienced something like that before, but it was because this class was really important to get out, and they wanted to hinder that. So what I did is a 33-day protection ritual that uses your determination and your will and warrior protectors, that puts a strong will and intention out into the everythingness that says, don't F with me, basically. So that worked beautifully for me, and I haven't had a greeting since then. I felt little knocks, I felt little things, but I know that protection magic, or what some call psychic defense, is as important as working out, as some people call it. I call it working in, moving your body. We should do it consistently because it's healthy for our beings. We live in a realm where there are vile entities that do not want to assist humanity, but rather would like to take them down into the lowest of low frequency places where these beings have chosen to reside. They want us to reside there too. We say no, right? Another aspect through the Law of One Ra channelings, which I'm sure some of you, if not all, are aware of at this point, there were some really essential insights to me that I thought I could share because it just resonated. And so I thought these could be of service to you. So what was said is, the questioner said, the negatively oriented entities who contact us and others on this planet are limited by the first distortion. They have obviously been limited by the banishing ritual just performed. Could you describe, with respect to free will, how they limit themselves in order to work within the first distortion, and how the banishing ritual itself works? This is the answer from the social complex called Ra, and the social complex means a group of beings that are called Ra, not one Ra. So that's important to know. I am Ra. This query has several portions. Firstly, those of negative polarity do not operate with respect to free will unless it is necessary. They call themselves and will infringe whenever they feel it possible. Secondly, they are limited by the great law of confusion in that, for the most part, they are unable to enter this planetary sphere of influence and are able to use the windows of time-space distortion only insofar as there is some calling to balance the positive calling. Once they are here, their desire is conquest. Thirdly, in the instance of this instrument's being removed permanently from the space-time, it is necessary to allow the instrument to leave its yellow ray physical complex of its free will. Thus, trickery has been attempted. The use of the light forms being generated is to cause such entities to discover a wall through which they cannot pass. This is due to the energy complexes of the light beings and aspects of the one infinite creator invoked and evoked in the building of the wall of light. So the sword banishing ritual is called sword banishing, or a banishing ritual, is what they're talking about here. And so that creates a wall of light and protects your essence. So that is a very powerful thing, and you can discover more. And of course, hopefully, some of, if not all of these aspects can help you. And if you want more specific answers, then I would gladly assist. You're welcome to contact me via email. Just click the link listed here in the YouTube channel, or you're welcome to join the Telegram group. Also, to assist in this powerful time, my husband and I, which I'm excited to say, maybe it's already been posted by the time this video has been released, but we're going to do a co-created live stream event. So stay tuned here, and what we're going to do is co-create a beautiful visualization, plus we're going to do a Qigong Tai Chi practice, as that is what my husband is beautifully stepping into, as he is the divine masculine rising in magnificent form. And we want to share in lifting and helping the rising beautiful energy as we move into this next solar eclipse. So I hope that you will be able to join us. I also hope that these insights that I've provided in this video helps you to awaken more of your unique and divine magic and helps us together remember original creation magic. Subscribe to get more videos that hold the intention to illuminate the path for indigos, starseeds, and all humans here with sacred missions that serve as the pioneers in this great paradigm shift of consciousness. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you in our live stream upcoming, and perhaps in the Wheel of the Year workshops as well, or anything else that we've got going on.